For our second interview of our series, I'd like to give a big thanks to Liam Trevaskis from Durham County Cricket Club for joining us tonight. Liam, how are you doing?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Thanks for having me, James.
Oh, more than welcome. How have you been finding lockdown?
It was something I really to begin with. It was just accepting it, and it took a little bit of time, week or so of acceptance, and now I think I'm starting to. I've dealt with it and trying to just be really productive during the time, and been lucky enough that we've got a little garage here, and I'm living away from home at the moment with Gareth Hart, one of the other lads, and we acquired some of the stuff from Durham's gym, and we've got a squat rack and a bench and a decent amount of weight, so we've been able to get some good sessions in and a bit of running. I've started my own blog online as well, so just been trying to keep really busy. Done a few online courses, just dabbling my hand here and there, and sorting out a few of my social media pages and setting up a LinkedIn and trying to make connections, and just going there, really trying to be really productive with my time.
Can we touch on your blog and, keeping yourself active and busy, why you found that important? Tell us about your blog.
So my blog it started off as me wanting to tell my story of how I've made it to where I am at the moment, sort of really pushing to cement myself in Durham's first team for hopefully quite a long time to come would be the main aim. But I feel that some kids from minor counties like myself aren't too sure how to get somewhere and what's really required of what you need to sacrifice and the route you could possibly go down. And there are so many into cricket, and I just thought it'd be nice to put across my view, and that sort of started as a blog. Right, I'm going to say who I am and this is my journey, and on top of that discuss things around cricket, certain things going on. So like at the moment I've just done a piece on, the title was "Will there be any cricket to play?" and just had a chat around what's been announced and how I think that might affect the game. But then about halfway through writing it, I was like, this would be really cool if I can get other people's opinions and other people's journeys. So I've done a few. I started with Scott, I thought this would be a really good trial thing. Like, he's really close. It's not going to be too awkward me sitting here and have a conversation with him. So got on and did that and set up. I did an interview with him. I had a bit of a highlights clip on the page, chatted through how I'd met him. Just above that, so give a bit of context of why I'd actually talked to him. And then who else I did? I went on to Ollie Newton, who I'd met in New Zealand. I thought that people might be interested to see from a different country. And I've sort of just been trying to go through currently more of the younger lads, but I've got a few plans to try and have a chat with some of the older players that I know that are either coming close to sort of an end of career or really looking to knock on doors of Lions and England selection.
How can someone access your blog?
So the tag for it, it's called The Road to First Class Cricket, and that's if you put that in, it should hopefully come up. If not, go through. It's all on my social media. If you just go through any links on there, I'll send you the link over. And you can link it into this, and
brilliant.
Yeah,
excellent.
Which is quite good.
You're talking about the road to first class cricket. You're talking about it from a minor county point of view, sort of an alternative way into the game. Go on then, go through your blog. Tell us your journey into the pro game.
So like my first experience of cricket it wasn't me searching out the game. I got asked by my best mate at the time, Lewis. It was we got like a taster session. He was like, "Do you want to go down to the local club and we'll just have a bit of fun and see what it's like." And that's where it all started at 5 years old, and going down to Penrith Cricket Club, which was still is now, where my parents live, 10-minute walk away, probably about 10 minutes from the school at the time as well. So that's where it all really began, and following into that, just sort of loving the game, working my way up age-wise. Ended up first year of county was under 11s, I think. I got dropped at under 12s, and then sort of that was something that really resonate. I was like, I haven't been picked here. There's obviously something wrong. So I tried to put in a bit more work and a lot of hitting with my brother, with Asher Hart, who was at Durham and moved to Hampshire and just recently left the game and set up his own coaching. So that's where that started. Moved my way up all the age groups. First spotted at 14 at Bishop Auckland. We played Durham under 15s team, so I was playing a year up with me and Marcus Stables was the other bloke that was our age and playing a year up. Played there and scored a few runs, took a few wickets, got a few of their bigger players out. Josh Coughlin, Hendo, Luke Henderson, who's was pretty close and then does pretty well in club cricket at the moment. And then there'll have been another one, I'm not sure who it was, and scored 70 odd not out to win us the game. And my granddad was walking around, it rained halfway through, and he was walking around before that. And when it rained, he left, he went home, so it was an hour and a half drive. He didn't really want to be driving in the dark, so he left. Come later on in that week, he said, I was talking to someone at the cricket and walking around, and it was like something Cook. I was like, nah, I don't have a clue, granddad. And they came around, so it was Jeff Cook, like Durham legend, has played for England, mint first class career. So it was Jeff Cook, who was director of cricket at the time, and my mum got a phone call from John Windows then and still is academy coach at Durham, successful coach, unbelievable record in terms of amount of players he gets to play first class cricket from the academy. And they rang, oh, do you want to come over and have a session? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go do this. So I thought, got a chance here. I'm going to train at an international ground in the nets with one of the best academy coaches in the country. Yeah, let's do that. Did all right. Rang back about probably a week or so after I'd been. He was, oh, do you want to go to Dubai with like a young academy team? I was like, my mum told me, like, is there even another answer than yes to this? So that happened. Driving over late at night to train and sort of getting back at 10:30 at night, trying to go to sleep to then go back to school to then do it the next day. So that was real beginning. Went through all of that. Played Bunbury under 15s the year after. Had a decent under 16 year for Cumbria. We won the league, I think, in the 2-day comp for the under 17s, and then signed my first academy contract, which then felt like a real step on the ladder. I'm here. I've got a chance here. They've noticed I'm working hard. I've got a chance to really, really push myself, and I've got a foot in the door, which is the main thing. In the academy contract, there was very little money involved. It was just, I don't even know what it was. It was probably like a 3-month contract after I'd finished school, and I've got my foot in the door here. So year after that, played for Durham and only Durham. Sort of left Cumbria, lived away from home most of the year. The only time I was at home was school, really, which by that time had sort of taken a back seat. And then Super Fours, played that. Year after that was 18. I made my T20 debut against Notts, and then I made my first class debut in the last game of the season. We were playing Worcester. They were going to be promoted. We were sort of down and out. I think that was the year of the minus 48 point start. So we'd sort of been shafted a little bit, and the team was in a bit of transition. Some people had already left the club to go on to different counties. So that was the first real experience of first class cricket, really. That was my debut 18 at Worcester.
That was a difficult time as well, I remember that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You spoke about John Windows. We both know John. We both worked with John. And you said amazing academy coach, and when you talk about how many players have come through that system, what do you think then makes that academy system there, from your point of view, has worked for you to get you to where you are now? a bit of an insight into how the training
Yeah.
works, the intensity of it, anything like that?
I think the academy changed a little bit when I went into it, because so mine was the second year of, so education changed a little bit when I was just sort of coming towards finishing school, and you either had to go into more education up until 18, so sixth form or a college, or you'd have to get a paid apprenticeship with training and or a job with training. So it changed a little bit there, but a lot of the academy, for me, it was just time to be able to look at your game and talk with people and try and get involved with people that were playing second team and hopefully like some of them playing first team. Excuse me. It was just the time, really. It's really interesting when you look back at it, and when I was playing against Durham when I was that 14, 15, 16 age group, we could compete with them, which was an interest, like we'd be able to compete with the first class county. And when I went and played for Durham at 17, it changed. So at 16, they seemed to struggle with compete, so against Yorkshire and Lancashire, it just wasn't quite there. And then come that 17, it's like an instilled toughness, and that's where John, I think, is probably one of the best in the country of it, is that instilling that heart and that drive of passion for the game, and just sort of hard-nosed cricket, which is what he really, really promotes, and what Durham's probably built on, of sometimes not the most talented blokes, but hard-nosed. We're gonna try it, and hopefully it works.
Brilliant. Right, we're going to move on to the white ball game. So you've played first class cricket, you've moved through the ranks from the academy settings, made your first class debut, and have done really well. I've seen 2020 and one day stuff. We talk about your bowling and game plans and tactics and go down that route. Will you give our students and anyone who's viewing, a spinner, some tactics, some thoughts, what you're looking to do, certainly from when you first come on, okay? So bang, first ball, what you're looking to do, and then if you'd expand, that'd be great.
Yeah. I think what really helped, and what really might help some of the youngsters, is like a clarity of role. So when we played T20s this year, I'll start with the T20, I'll come on to one days in a second. With the T20s, I had a real clarity of role of what I was likely to be expected to do. So I was more than likely going to bowl the first over. And if I didn't bowl the first over, I'd bowl at least one in the power play. So that was a real clarity of role of, right, you need to know what your field are, which helped from like at the start of the campaign, it was, you're going to have to bowl one in the power play, because we had Darcy as our overseas, and he was a Chinaman. He was going to bowl out the power play. He wasn't going to bowl in the power play. So me as the out and out spinner, I was going to have to bowl in the power play. So I think that'd be the first point, of try and get a nice clarity of role of what you're expected to do before the game, because then you can get your head wrapped around what's expected of you. So if I didn't know, come the first game and I don't know what's going on, Liam bowling the first over, what am I doing? What do I do? What's my field? What's going on? Whereas because I'd known a few weeks prior to the campaign, you're going to more than likely bowl in the power play here, that would mean one, I could practice. So that's not just fields and bowling batsmen, it was bowling with a new ball, because it's completely different to bowling with an older ball. It's a little bit slippier. Might be a different tactic. I might just look to swing the ball in rather than actually spin it, and try and cramp them for room, and instead of getting deviation off the pitch, try and beat them in the air so they can't just line me up. And that would be the first point I'd make. What was the question? So it was clarity of the role, wasn't it?
Yeah, clarity of role, and looking at, white ball tactics. So you've come on, what are you looking to try and do? How are you going to try and deceive the batsman? Any kind of tactical insight into how you would go about your role.
Yeah. So I'll start with the power play. So like I would be expected to bowl one in the power play. Usually to right-handers, but to left-handers, I'd also have to be able to adapt if one came in or one was at the other end. A lot of that is the average number of runs you go for in a power play over is 10. It's somewhere around there, no matter if it's spinner balls or a seamer balls. If I can go for anything less than, in my opinion, 8, then I've done a half decent job, considering it's the first over. And if I can pick up a wicket, great. But the likelihood is, my plan whenever I bowl the first over is I've got to keep the stumps in play, because if I don't, it's a free hit. If I'm missing off stump or missing leg stump, then it's a free shot for the batter, and I'm either going to get hit through or over the offside, or I'm going to get picked up past square leg and go for 4 or 6. So that will be the first point of, I'm definitely looking to keep the stumps in play at all times, no matter if I'm looking to bowl orthodox, bowl my arm ball, or bowl a Yorker or any sort of variation. I'm looking to keep the stumps in play as long as possible. If it's like not spinning and I've pitched it on Midland leg stump and then it's slid on and it's gone to miss leg stump, that's not the worst result, because the batsman has still had a moment where it might hit the stumps. If this turns, it's going to hit the stumps and I'll be out if I miss it. That'll be the first point. The second point would be, don't just bowl step and hit balls. So there's got to be something on the ball. So as a spinner, you're looking to primarily spin it, unless there's another option. So for me, it would like bowl one that sort of slides into the batsman, swings through the air with the new ball, and that's a different variation for me. So look to spin it, because if you've got enough energy on the ball, it's a lot harder to get a clean strike, and you're more likely to catch a toe or like chunk it on the inside edge or top edge it or something along those lines, if there's energy on the ball and there's action on the ball. If you're just bowling sort of slow and not actually spinning the ball, it's a lot easier to line up and hit. And like when I said before about a step and hit ball, I'm not bowling half volleys. I'm either getting under him and trying to bowl a Yorker, or I'm trying to hit the top of the stumps. I'm not trying to be anywhere in between them, because then it's just an easy shot. That'll be in the power play. And then coming out of the power play would be the same again. I've got to keep the stumps in play. But the likelihood of me bowling an arm ball that swings is slim, because the ball's done. After 6 overs, the ball doesn't swing. After 4 overs, the ball doesn't really swing, unless it hasn't been hit. So that'll be the first, as an orthodox, look to spin it. And to be honest, I'm just looking to still come through at that stump high level. And then in terms of tactics, mine are very, very simple. I'll have a 5-4 leg side field to start. I'll be looking to hit middle stump. And then come probably the 4th ball, unless we need to risk it and we're not defending a lot, or it's a new batsman, and I'll then just move my mid-wicket to 3rd man for the last ball or last 2 balls, unless the batsman is already in or he plays a really good reverse sweep. Other than that, pretty simple. 5 out, don't get too fancy. Maybe put a slip in if you get a wicket and it's spinning, but keep the stumps in play and then just tinker your field a touch.
I think you're fine. Batsmen love width, don't they? So keeping the stumps in play, bowling straight, and then setting an appropriate field for that is going to be key. Whatever level you're playing, that is true. First class cricket, as you just said, and then, down to club cricket and junior cricket, you can keep your stumps in play, bowl to your field as a bowler, hit good areas consistently. You're in the game, aren't you? You're constantly
absolutely.
Back from the pressure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's an interesting message to reinforce to anyone watching, that game is still the game played at whatever level. A bit on the mental side of the game. Cricket, you can be up, you can be down. how have you found dealing with those sort of ups and downs in the early part of your career?
I think that earlier on, and definitely when I was younger, I'm only 21. I'm still very young in the game, and not 100% sure if it's going to be a long-term career, but I'm hoping it is. When I was a little bit younger, I took it a little bit harder on myself, and trying to, if I was going to be playing for Cumbria an under 14 game, or under 15, I didn't play under 15 game, but under 15s, and I'd already played there a year before, then I should be dominating. And because I'm wanting to play for first class county, for any first class county, then I should be dominating here. And when I didn't score, and I probably took it a lot harder than I should have. Sort of, and then as I've grown up and I've learned a little bit and become more secure as a person and matured a little bit in terms of knowing my game a touch better than what I did. I know it okay, but I'm still obviously learning, and everyone should be as they continue through the career. But being able to just sit there and go, I'm going to have miles more bad days than good days, is, at the end of the day, if you're batting, it pretty much ends in failure every time. It doesn't matter if you get none or you get 200. It's probably going to end in failure unless you finish not out in the game. So that's something as a youngster, you're going to fail more than you succeed, and that's the real beauty of cricket. So I think that's probably how I've dealt with it a little bit better now, of even being dropped from a team or not scoring the runs I want or not taking wickets that I want to take. I'm going to have a lot more bad days than good days. But if I can have them bad days and try and turn them into average days, then that's better than just having a bad day, and then them average days turn into good days and good days to very good days. If I can sort of move each one up one, then it just gives me less bad days than I might think I might have.
When we're talking about a relationship with a coach, we've mentioned John Windows earlier, and feedback and what might be potentially sometimes perceived as criticism from you. How have you dealt with that? How have you found that? Because people can be quite harsh, especially you're there to be shot at sometimes as a first class cricketer. The fans, the journalists, the media, people on social media may start as well. How have you found dealing with that kind of thing?
I think that in terms of coaches, I feel that I can take the criticism usually. It really helps if there's already a relationship there, and it's not and you don't feel it as a personal attack. And at the end of the day, you're a professional sportsman. You're expected to do your job, and if you don't do your job, you probably are going to get ridiculed for it. So it helps when, from a coach and a player, if you can already have that relationship. I feel as though if I have relationships with coaches and then they come to me and say, come on, this needs sorted out, then you can take it a little bit easier. And I think that's something that a player and a coach can learn from, of taking time outside the game to get to know each other and sort of build a mutual respect. It is hard to take from a coach that possibly you don't really work with as much, or you haven't built that rapport, or they're quite new to the system or new to coaching you. As in, I don't know, when you're a little bit younger, you might move an age group, or for example, now you might have a first team head coach change like we had. Not saying that that's anything like what I've experienced now, but that's something that can happen. You need to take that time to build that rapport and build that relationship. How I've dealt with it is sometimes not in the right way, I'll be honest. Can be quite stubborn sometimes, and having had chats with John, and when I was in the academy, it was like, you've got all the right things. It's just you just need to take that criticism and take it as a learning rather than feel as though you're getting attacked. which I've definitely tried to learn from and take it a little bit better. So no one's perfect. Everyone's not going to be happy. And then in terms of from anyone other than a coach, another player, or a close friend or family member, I can just brush it under the carpet, to be honest. I don't mind. If someone wants to have a dig at me, that's fine. Absolutely fine. As long as it's not abusive or getting like slurred or swore at, then you can take it. It doesn't really affect me, and I don't think people should let it affect them, especially when you're young and you're working the game out. I think from anyone other than, like I said, coach, player, or friends or family, you can just brush it under the carpet. It doesn't really matter.
Brilliant. Right, we're going to finish up with a quick fire 5. One name, and we'll go through these as we go. Right, the quickest bowler that you've faced?
Ryden Cast.
Who's the toughest opponent that you've come up against?
My brother.
Who's the best player that you've played with?
Stokesy.
Who's your cricket idol?
Stokesy.
And what's your favourite format of the game?
4-day cricket.
Brilliant. Liam Trevaskis, thanks ever so much for joining us tonight. Can you just remind everyone how to access your blog, should they want to go back and have a look at that?
Yeah, so it's be www.aroadtofirstclasscricket.com.